Good morning, folks. Curtis Chandler here, President of PFL, bringing you this week's North American rail, energy, and macro update. Starting with the markets, stocks finished the week higher. The Dow closed up 356 points for the week at 47,563 points. The S&P gained 49 points, while the Nasdaq was up 520 points week over week. In overnight trading, Dow futures are trading higher from Friday's close. In the energy space, crude oil slipped. WTI closed at $60.98, down 52 cents week over week. That's per barrel. The big energy story came from the EI, which reported massive inventory draws across the board. Crude stocks fell 6.9 million barrels week over week. Gasoline stocks dropped 5.9 million barrels, and distillates were down 3.4 million barrels week over week. A quick note on economic data. Due to the government shutdown last week's jobs update was still not released. Now for rail traffic. Total rail traffic was down 3.8% compared to the same week last year. Carloads dipped 0.9%, but the real weakness was in intermodal, which was down 6.1% for the same week last year. But the most alarming number in this week's report is the collapse in automotive. Motor vehicle and parts carloads plunged 11.5% year over year. This is first statistical proof of severe supply chain crisis. A geopolitical dispute over chip maker Nexperia is forcing Honda, Nissan, and Volkswagen to warn of immediate assembly line stoppings. This will directly impact rail volumes for the rest of the quarter. The other big story is the widening performance gap between Canada's two Class 1 carriers. CP is on the offensive, its network is fluid, and it's capitalizing on a boom in Mexico while rail traffic surged. Mexican carloads were up 14.7%, and intermodal skyrocketed to 33%, proving out the single line merger thesis. In sharp contrast, CN is pivoting to defensive. CN announced layoffs of approximately 400 managers, representing 6% of its non-union workforce, and its freight volume has slidden. CN's total train speeds dropped 6% year over year. The battle of the UP and the NS merger has escalated into an all-out war this week. CP and CN officially joined BN in publicly opposing the deal. This unifies the other Class 1 carriers against the merger, signaling the beginning of a major regulatory and publications war. We're also watching the collapse of the Green New Deal model. This last week, major Dutch North Sea wind farmer tender closed with 0 bids. This follows 42 other clean energy projects being canceled in the U.S. this year, promising a boom to rail, which is evaporating. At the same time, the Department of Energy announced a new $100 million funding opportunity to refurbish and modernize the nation's existing coal power plants. A few final updates. The shareholder vote to approve Cenovus and MEG Energy takeover resumes on Thursday. Cenovus is confident it will pass with 86% of the votes already voted in favor. In politics, left-wing Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is managing a diplomatic firestorm as he personally apologized to President Trump for an Ontario government act. The apology failed to stop the Trump administration from freezing talks and announcing an additional 10% tariff on Canadian imports. North American rig count was down 16 rigs week over week. The U.S. was down 4, and Canada was down 12 rigs week over week. The key takeaway this week is that the market is bifurcated. The automotive supply chain is in crisis, and the energy landscape is pivoting to reliable power. As CN retrenches, CP is on the offensive, and the entire industry is now fighting over the North American rail map. For the latest and greatest updates on equipment for sale and lease, call us at PFL today. Remember, we clean, flare, service, and store rail cars across North America. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week with another update on what's moving the North American rail and energy markets. Please make sure you read this week's report and pass on to friends and colleagues. It is free, and we do it all for you. Thanks for listening, and be safe out there.